agree with me, particularly for those who attended the session last time, that it was a very, very impactful one. And I do trust that even today, we're going to have a much better session. So I actually welcome all of you. Thank you so much for coming and attending this session. Before I just go straight to the event for the day, which is about assurance through zero trust. A number of times will be, a lot of people just be thinking or wondering what zero trust it's all about. I do know that the speaker today will do the right justice to that, particularly as regards to the concept of information security. Again, CyberGuard Lounge is an organization that focuses on cybersecurity services, and the organization is growing in bands. It's focusing on engaging clients on their cyber security risk management, on issues of governance, risk, and compliance, and security assessments and audits, as well as digital forensics. And of course, in the area of incident response as well, the team has competent hands to be able to handle our client needs with respect to that. And also, the team is also have well-trained professionals, well-experienced professionals who are able to handle cybersecurity trainings for our potential clients. So if you are in need of cybersecurity training, or maybe you have organizations who are in need of cybersecurity training for their employees, or cybersecurity awareness programs and the likes and all of that, CyberGuard Lounge is an organization that can easily deliver. And trust me, it's not just going to be a classroom training alone. It's going to be embedded with real hands-on experience and practical guidelines on how people can actually secure their digital ecosystem. So that is about CyberGuard Lounge for now. And I'll be going straight to the event of the day. Before I call on the main speaker, I would just like to introduce or just read a little bit about the profile of the speaker of today. The name of our speaker for today is Mr. Zechariah Oluleke Akinpelu. He is the Chief Information Security Officer of Unity Bank. Unity Bank happens to be one of the major banks in Nigeria, and of course, I want to believe even in sub-Saharan Africa. Mr. Zechariah Oluleke has an experience in information that spans over 15 years, and he is a passionate person when it comes to information security, and he has also won a number of global awards when it comes to information security. He is a member of the Forbes Technology Council and Cyber Head Board community, where he shares his insights and best practices on technology and cybersecurity with senior level peers and experts. He's a co-founder of cybersecurity startups, a company currently present in Nigeria and in the US, and plan to spread across other countries. So you can agree with me that we do have a big fish, if you allow me to use that illustration about our speaker today. So we are really, really blessed and privileged to have him on board today to do justice to how we can gain assurance within the digital ecosystem through the concept of zero trust. So join me to welcome on board our guest speaker, our distinguished guest speaker for the day, Mr. Zechariah Oluleke Akinpelu. So you are welcome on board.
All right. Thank you very much, the moderator. Thank you, the organizers, for this event. So I really appreciate your invitation, and also appreciate the opportunity given to me for me to share thought and experience on this topic. So we'll be talking about assurance through zero trust. And before I deep dive into this session, and I will first and foremost start with what is zero trust. So, and I will also be sharing my experience. So, because I want this session not just to be like a kind of, I don't want the session to be like kind of academic, purely academic session. So I will be sharing life experience about how I've been able to implement zero trust architecture and various organizations I've worked with, and also how I've been able to help organization to achieve zero trust. So presently I work with Unity Bank, and also co-founded a startup, and we are growing fast, and we are also taking over the US territory as well. We have a couple of clients that we work with. We do vulnerability assessment, penetration testing, also cybersecurity architecture, then and also general assurance services, and also we do like kind of advisory services. So, and you can always reach out to me, and I'm very active on LinkedIn, and also have a YouTube channel that I just drop some of my daily kind of little of what I do, because I do a lot of workshops, a lot of training across the various institutions, and I partner with some institutions like colleges, university, and I'm a guest lecturer to some of these institutions, right? So, but I also offer specialized tailor-based training for organization or individuals, right? So you can reach out or connect. Come on, so let's just dive into this session. So let's start with the concept zero trust architecture. Yeah, about 5 years, 6 years, 7 years ago, it more or less like kind of a model. But today, different OEM, different providers are coming up with different technology that would align with zero trust architecture. So let's start. So when the architecture talks about that, do not trust any objects or subject or any entity. Always verify. What do I mean by it? Never trust. Always verify. Let's presume that, okay, you are given access to a system, or you provision an access to a staff, and the staff, based on its job functions, and the staff has been granted that access. So that access, do not always trust that access. Something can happen to the system. The system have been compromised, or that session might have been compromised. Maybe another entity has taken over the session. Maybe another person, maybe through a man-in-the-middle attack, might have taken over that access. You need to always verify, and the system must be designed and developed in such a way that any access at a point in time, or any operation going on your system, whether operation being carried out by subject or by object, need to always be verified. So, and then zero trust architecture also says assume threat exists inside and outside the network. Don't presume that you are safe. No, there's this general concept that some people live under very false this false sense of security, thinking that they are all saved, they are all they thinking that they are all safe, thinking that they've implemented the best strategy, that they don't need to do any stuff again, that they just need to just go to bed. Yeah, so the concepts state that you need to assume threat that exists inside and outside the network. Do not assume that everybody in your network or every entity in your network is doing the right thing. So because threat can happen willingly by somewhat through an insider, whether willingly or unwillingly. Somebody can be compromised and they might not know that they have been compromised. A system might have been compromised. Maybe a malware might have taken over the activities of a system or a particular session. Assume threat exists inside and outside the network. Do not assume that there's no threat. So what that means is that you need to always play both the offensive game and the defensive game. What do I mean by offensive? So the offensive security, like always look out for threat, do the kind of consistently do threat hunting, red teaming operation to see whether there's a possible area of threat. And if there's a possible area of threat, red teaming operation, you use red teaming operation to simulate breaches. I will go to explain that later. But to simulate breaches and also beyond I will explain that later. But let's first of all start with the introductory background about what is zero trust architecture. So the tenet number 3 says requires continuous authentication and least privilege access. Do you not assume that because you've authenticated somebody or that the authentication is always right? You need to continuously verify the authentication, continuous authentication. Do not just authenticate a session for 1 minute, and the system should be designed in such a way, and also ensure that people have the least privileged access. Always ensure that every authentication is based on the required functions that the subject need, and do not do much more. Subject can be person, can be service account, can be a system trying to assassinate a system. Let's presume that you develop a 3-tier mobile application that has a web server, that has the database server, and also the application server. Definitely the application server will host the application files, maybe the programming files, and also the web server might host what will require for you to the Apache. It depends on the web service that you're using, and the database. Yes, because it's 3 applications, so those 3 servers need to communicate with each other. At any point in time, those communications need to be authenticated. Maybe the communication between the server A to server B need to be continuously verified to be sure that whether it is that server that is communicating at the point in time, and also ensure that you enabled or you enforce the least privilege principle. I've seen because I have opportunity to carry out assessment on various application, various systems. I've seen a situation whereby somebody will design an application. They will just assume the default role. They would just give the application the highest privilege. Maybe root account. I've seen a person developing an application on a very application that has so many organizations. The database account is the service account that is connecting the application. They just leverage on the SA, the super admin accounts of the MS SQL server. That's very wrong. So what that means that if you give the application the highest privilege, and if the application is vulnerable, maybe let's presume that the application is vulnerable to injection vulnerability such as SQL vulnerability, or maybe no SQL. Let's presume that you're even using no SQL database like MongoDB. And if that application is compromised, the entire database will be definitely compromised because you've given the application the entire super admin. So that means that it's very easy. But if you give the application just the least privilege, yes, the application might be compromised, but you will not compromise your entire network or infrastructures, right? The tenet number 4 says enhanced data protection, visibility, and risk mitigation. How do you ensure that you enhance data protection? And for you to enhance data protection, you must ensure that your data, whether data in transit, whether data at rest, are well encrypted, and make sure that you use the right encryption algorithm. Do not use an algorithm that has been duplicated. For example, for TLS, let's presume that, okay, it's not sufficient for you to just deploy an application and you say that, okay, you enforce HTTPS and you go to bed or you just go to rest. You must ensure that you use the right TLS protocol. There's some protocol that have been deprecated, protocol like TLS 1.0, 1.1, 1.2, SS. I see some application like this application people still use like SSL version 2. That's such ridiculous. So if you use a protocol that can have been deprecated, so you do not somebody can conduct a kind of man-in-the-middle attack. It will sniff the traffic and also manipulate the traffic, and the payload, and you will not be able to achieve the desired security. The beyond you just, yes, it's not just sufficient. Okay, yes, you are using a TLS version 1.3. Do you configure it such a way there's another layer of security that need to be enforced in such a way that that protocol cannot be downgraded? And that is what we call the downgrade attack. The downgrade attack is a form of attack that allows a malicious person to downgrade the protocol, especially the TLS protocol, to what the attackers can easily manipulate, right? So how do you guard against downgrade attack? You need to implement HSTS, they call it secure transport security. It's not just sufficient for you to implement TTPS. You must make sure that you enforce HSTS. And this enforcement can be easily done maybe away from the security header of the application. If you know where to do that, then whenever you are doing the TLS, you must ensure that the handshake, or the handshake, maybe the communication between the application to the database is well secured, right? And do not allow some kind of backward compatibility. I think there was a time while I needed to, while working with one of the biggest switching company in one of the it's one of the biggest switching company in the Sub-Saharan Africa, and we were some of our application to be PA-DSS certified. PA-DSS is different from a PCI-DSS. PA-DSS is just for payment application. You need to get, it's more stricter for you to achieve the PA-DSS. It's for entity that develop application that allows application that allows card data information to be transmitted through the application, right? So I took it upon myself, even though I was the head of information security, to conduct assessment myself, right? And I flagged the issue that they need to upgrade the TLS model, which they did. As at that time, I think there wasn't nothing like a TLS version 1.3. It was 1.2 that was in vogue, right? So I flagged that TLS 1.2 should be enabled, which was enabled at the application layer. And I also discovered some couple of serious vulnerability, which were also fixed before I passed the application. After passing the application, the company engaged. Definitely, you can't get the PA-DSS yourself. You need to also engage a company that will satisfy you, check your system before. So the QSA company that was supposed to conduct a test of the engagement, they were very thorough, and they look at the application, they couldn't see any issue. They look at it the second time. They reach out to us that we were using a TLS that is not in line with the PCI DSS. I was like confused at what's going on there. And so I had the developer to go and look at the stuff again to see whether he has mistakenly maybe reversed what he has done. He confirmed to me that he has done all that he could, right? So why was to simulate the communication just for me to run a test. I started the application. I tried to log on to the application. I was logging the application. I decided to save the traffic using the hashtag. So as I was sniffing traffic, at the point of me logging into the database, at the point of me establish a connection between the application and the database, when I launched the application, I realized that the application was on TLS 1.2. But as soon as I connect to the database, the protocol changed to TLS 1.0. I was like, what's going on there? I tried it again, and I checked the guy's code again. Everything was intact. Later on, I now realized that, okay, on the database server, I checked the communication protocol on the database server. It was actually TLS 1.2 that was enabled on the database server. But I saw the other protocol on the SQL server. I saw that other protocol are not disabled. When I check online, I now realize that at that time, SQL Server by default uses uses TLS 1.0 for communication, whether you enable it or not, unless you disable the other protocol or on the other variable protocol. That's when you to forced to use a TLS 1.2. I just had the guy, okay, let's disable TLS 1.0 and 1.1 on the database server. We run the simulation, lo and behold, it was communicated on TLS 1.2, and we asked the tester, the assessor, to check again and confirm that everything was okay. Why am I saying this? It's not just sufficient for you to just do like kind of a checklist check. Okay, you just go into the system. You need to do a thorough assessment, thorough assurance to ensure that you were able to enhance the right protection. Another thing is that you need to ensure that you have a visibility across your digital enterprise. You cannot protect what you are not aware of. Visibility is very key. How do you achieve visibility? Monitor what is going on. Some tooling like implementing tooling like that activity monitoring. Have visibility on what's going on at the endpoint level. On the servers, having like kind of endpoint detection and response system. Have visibility on what is going on the network level. Having something like NDR, network detection and response, and this the network you must look for way to use ensuring that you have these visibilities. Then I will also be mentioning some of the technology be used to achieve some form of zero trust. I think I've mentioned what for data protection, you use a protocol, use a proper and then make sure that the are graded to guide the data interface sniffing, and also to guide against man in the middle attack. For the authentication and the least privilege, I think that's straightforward. Make sure that you continually assess who is what and what the impact and see what is really happening, right? So let's just look at my something like my okay, I don't know, right. So let's look at the core principle of zero trust. So the first principle says verify.
Oh, sorry about that. The presenter seems to be having a problem with his network, and we'll just reach out to him quickly to sort that out. So sorry about that. Okay, sorry about this glitch. The presenter is trying to join the platform again, but while he does that, I would like to just run us through the various services we render at CyberGuard Lounge for the sake of people who are new on this platform, and even as a form of emphasis to our regular attendees on our monthly public events. So I'll be sharing my screen with us shortly to just run us through the various security programs or security services that we render at CyberGuard Lounge Limited. Okay, so CyberGuard Lounge is an IT service and consulting organization with strong focus on cybersecurity, and we offer a wide range of cybersecurity.
Sorry, Dr. Dipo. Dr. Dipo, I think the presenter is available now.
Oh, I don't know that.
Yeah. Oh, all right. So let me just stop. Thank you so much, Mr. Larry. Thank you so much for that. Let me just pause at this point and hand over to our speaker. Of course, we've been having a very good time learning about the concept of zero trust model. So I will hand over to Mr. Zechariah Akimpelu. Over to you for the continuation of the presentation.
So I didn't know that the screen has stopped, right? So where do we stop, right? The disconnection, is it? You are still at the core principle of zero trust, right?
Yes, at the last part of the core principles of the zero trust, where you talked about the enhanced data protection, visibility, and risk mitigation.
Okay. All right. So yeah, so visibility is very key. You must deploy the system in such a way that you have the visibility of what's going on, and you must have a same system, visibility at the endpoint layer, visibility at the database layer, visibility of all that is happening on your system, so that whenever there is a compromise or assumed compromise, you can easily stop that. So let's look at the core principle of zero trust. The first principle states that verify explicitly, use all data points to authenticate and authorize. Make sure that you verify everything, and verify every communication, verify every authentication, and make sure that you constantly authorize. Use least privilege access. Limit users to only what is needed. I've mentioned that don't give too much access to an entity, to a subject that will access an object. Assume bridge. Design system, assuming adversary may already be inside. Design that you presume that, okay, there's always an insider threat or a system that has been compromised internally. With that in mind, you go to quickly detect if there is a breaches or if there is a. So how do you design the system in such a way? Maybe you have a threat intelligence capability. You need to design the system. When I'm talking of system, you need to look at your processing people, also as the right people and actually do that for you. At the point where you can leverage the database and also have audio. So what are the key components of the zero trust? Number one component is identity and access management. I am identity and access management. Right. You know, and it's the issue now. Now, even in cybersecurity today, so many big organizations, they are always looking for specialists in IAM, people that have their core area of specialization in identity and access management. And they wouldn't mind to even hire different IAM specialists at different levels. I used to have one of my friends before he left Nigeria, and he was doing a cybersecurity. He was being a journalist. As soon as he joined, he relocated to Canada. The guy just focused on IAM. He's an IAM specialist, not just the entire IAM. The guy just focused on PAM, privilege and account monitoring. And I think the first job, he was a senior PAM analyst with one of the biggest banks in Canada. And he grew across the rank to be a director in PAM. Just for you to know how serious this thing can be. So the guy is a director now, and he's just focusing on that. So why are we looking at that? So you need to build a system. You need to have a serious people that understand. I am not just you employing people that will be just be creating profile and be decommissioning profile. That's IAM is much more than that. So many people always get it wrong. They will just have some bunch of people that will just be resetting people password, and they say they have claiming that they are IAM analysts. You need to have the right people. Also, you also need to automate the process, make sure that you have the right technology, and also make sure that you have your AD architecture right. Make sure that your system is configured in such a way that your system is not exposed to some most of the common attack on AD has to do with keyboard rusting. Make sure that your system is configured in such a way that your system is not, and also you need to get your AD right. If I thought you want to even get it, depend on the most organization leverage on AD Active Directory, and it depends on what you are using for your directory services, but it is more common. There are different systems that can be used technology for directory services depending on what you're doing, right? The second component is endpoint and device security. Endpoint security is very key because to access the endpoint, there can be SaaS, can be to laptops, can be desktop, can be even your Surface solution, your mobile phone, your tablet, your iPad, and all of that. Process of the network is very key. The system in such a way that not just segmentation, micro segmentation, and different technology can leverage on this. There is secure application access. You need to secure application access. You need to have a very good data protection, and also very good data leakage prevention system. Now that everybody is leveraging on the GenAI to do some, maybe some people want to generate a memo, they use GenAI. So the people will be putting the organizational critical document through the GenAI like ChatGPT, Copilot is very high. You need to ensure that you have a strong data leakage prevention system in place that can block any uploading of sensitive document or files. Because if you ask people not to do stuff, people will definitely do it. So the system should be designed in such a way that if you want to do anything that will compromise the organization, you'll be prevented. And also there will also be visibility. Somebody will warn you, why are you trying to do this? What are you trying to achieve? And also if you know that somebody is monitoring what you're doing and system is preventing you, and that you people will be well guided. And also then security analytics and threat intelligence, not just you keeping a bunch of log. you must be able to make intelligence out of that log. And the log is not just about keeping logs. You must have a very broad, good, you can leverage on user entity behavioral analytics. If the system is trying to misbehave, if there's an anomaly, a user behavioral analytic can detect the anomaly and stop the action before it leads to issue. There's security intelligence, threat intelligence. You must have a very good, robust threat intelligence in place. For example, if a particular APT group release an IOC, maybe indication of compromise on the dark web, and that IOC can be used to conduct a massive attack on the financial institution, for example. You must have a tooling or solution in place that can automatically pick up any known IOC and block it, whether before a malicious actor or whatever, any APT group pass undue right. Then you must also have a very robust application security. When I'm talking about application security, all these things that I'm mentioning, they are just like a career in. We can spend another for us to dimension it. We can spend like another 1 week, 2 weeks, over 2 months, 3 months talking about IAM, talking about endpoint and device security, talking about application security, and that's what that means. For you to really achieve your zero component, your zero trust, it's not just about you having the technology. You must have the right people, not just the right group of people with some area of specialization. So security has gone beyond somebody being a generalist, like what most organizations do. They just have like just imagine an organization that have about 5,000 staff. At the end of the day, they just have like 4 or 5 security analysts. All of them will be doing all sorts and be doing, they do not develop any area of specialization and all of that. At the end of the day, they'll be jack of all trades, master of none. So you must, your system must be designed in such a way that people should be able to hold their skill on different model of security. And also you must have the right tooling, you must have the right processing, so that the tooling, yes, and for you to really get the application security right, the engineer must be somebody with software background, somebody that doesn't know anything about software engineering. The person, I normally interview a lot of people. Somebody will tell you that this application security engineer, he'll be telling you that he hates programming, he doesn't like programming. How will you be able to secure an application or a software if you don't know how to program? Or somebody that claims as a network engineer, that's a network security engineer that doesn't like configuring routers, managing a firewall. So there are some basic stuff that need to be done right. I think I've mentioned up there, you having a behavioral analytics and also having a very good, robust SIEM, not just dinosaur SIEM, not just old generation SIEM. There's some SIEM that you want, if an incident happens, to take you forever for you to look for stuff, right? So leverage on next generation SIEM, not just SIEM that can do the work. Yeah. Implements. What are the implementation steps? First of all, you need to define the software you want to protect. You need to data flow that must be data mapping. Map the data flow between the user, the application, and all your digital assets. You need to also, from the network level, you start your architecture by using a kind of a micro perimeters, micro segmentation. You use an explicitly deny all whenever you are configuring your network. Do not, I hate the people using the blacklisting list of IPs. How many IP do you want to blacklist? First and foremost, block everybody, block every IP, explicitly deny all. only allow the trusted IPs. So you whitelist the IP that so that's the best approach to network security. Not just that, okay, you just allow permit any so that you can, it's better to block everything and if you have the opportunity to design from ground up. So you need to create context-aware policy, identify identity, device, location, not just context-aware policy, not just policy based on IPs, based on host name and all of that. You need to monitor and maintain with continuous validation and logging. Have the right tooling. So what are the benefits? So the benefits of zero trust, it minimizes the risks from internal and external threats. It reduces your attack surface and limit lateral movements. Because if you do microsegmentation, if a particular segment is compromised, the attacker will not be able to do lateral movements. So improve visibilities, control, and compliance posture. It also enables secure remote work and BYOD environment. So there are different frameworks that you can leverage on. NIST SP 800-207 is one of my favorites. Is a publicly available framework. You can download the framework and also customize it based on your environment, right? You can use it. The CISA Zero Trust Maturity Model. I'm not talking of for people that are ISACA member. I'm not talking of advanced security auditor. I'm talking of CISA. CISA is, I think, is an acronym for Critical Infrastructure Security Agency. They are the US agency that are in charge of securing the critical infrastructure in the US. So they produce a lot of framework. Yeah, CISA, the Zero Trust Maturity Model, you can leverage on that. You can also leverage on the Forrester ZTX framework. So those are the standards that you can leverage on for you to implement that. So let's move into, okay, assurance. Implementing assurance through zero trust. First and foremost, I've told you, you need to define the protect surface, map your transaction flow, apply micro-segmentation, create and enforce adaptive policy, not just the traditional policy, adaptive policy that is adaptive based on the situation. Then you need to continuously monitor, log, and validate continuously. How do you ensure continuous assurance capability? You need to have a real-time access audit. The audit should not just be that, okay, periodic, like the traditional audit that we normally do. Maybe the auditor will just, okay, maybe once in a year, they just find 1 or 2, 3 issues. They'll be chasing IT, everybody up and down, go and fix and all of that. So the audit should be automated. The audit should be conducted in such a way that if somebody tried to do something or the system tried to do something funny, you must be able to see what is wrong. Real-time access audit. You must automate compliance monitoring, not just you implementing compliance. You must automate your compliance process. So you can't do security without one of those days I can't do. Some people will tell you that I hate scripting, I want to be a cybersecurity person, I want to be a compliance person. I don't like to get my hands dirty and all of that. I don't like code. I don't like black. You need to automate your compliance. You need to compliance if at the point in time, if a system, because yes, before somebody will compromise the system, there must have to be with they must first and foremost be a gap. And come to think of it, if you get the compliance right, not just passing the, I'm not talking of you just having the certification, PCI DSS certification, ISO 27000. I'm talking of you automating the certification process, that the system will continually validate itself, also check itself and also correct itself. So automated compliance monitoring is very key. Policy enforcement and validation looping is very key. For the automated compliance process, you can leverage on the different tooling. Also, there's also some special tooling for compliance, and also if you know how to maybe infrastructure as a code, if you know how to do some scripting, you can also depending on what you're doing. If you are heavily on cloud, it's more easier if all your infrastructure are on cloud. But if you operate a hybrid model like some of us that have that you have to think about different strategies by which you can achieve your compliance. You can actually leverage on different technology, you can leverage OS query to continuously monitor your system configuration, and also leverage on OS lot of stuff that can leverage. You can also if you know Ansible, you can also use Ansible Tower, or you can use a Chef to automate your compliance, and also to that different technology that they can leverage on, and also get your hands dirty on those technology. Policy-led enforcement and validation looping. Then threat intelligence integration is very key. You must have a very robust threat intelligence solution, a solution that can tell you whenever, even if a developer tried to release some of the organizational code on their repository, maybe on their personal GitHub, you should be able to, system should be able to pick it up that, okay, somebody is trying to expose some intellectual property about the organization or some configurational settings. I've seen developer, in order to showcase that they weren't working on an application, they will just release the configuration setting of the application that has a database, the service account, the client test, they put it on GitHub, and anybody can go there and access it, and also have a clear of get access to the organizational database. You must have that. Beyond, also, if there is any indication of compromise that have been released, you must be able to have a good threat intelligence solution that can pick, that you can also get the feed, pick from different, you have different platforms that you can leverage. There's some open source platform like the Alien Vault has their own open source OTX, and you can also leverage on the OpenCTI. I think it's being controlled by Filigram today. You can leverage on the SOC, different open source technology, and also if you get stuck, you can also get the professional service, and also formally right. The audit readiness log. You can't leave that. You can't if you can't check what doesn't get logged. You can't check attestation and control is very key. So let's talk about the business benefit of assurance-driven zero trust. So it helps us to reduce risk and attack surface. It helps us to have a strong compliance posture. It helps us to have a very good business resilience and trust. It also helps us to scale our protection for hybrid and remote work models. You can scale it also makes your work much easier because it you can scale up. So I think I've mentioned the various framework that you can leverage beyond the NIST framework for zero trust and the CISA zero trust majority model. You can also leverage on ISO 27001 and COBIT. You can align, make sure that your architecture align with the best practice like COBIT. And in the context of Nigeria, you can align, make sure that if you do for people that work in the financial space, you can leverage on CBN cybersecurity framework. CBN cybersecurity framework is borrowed from international best practice. I think the ISEC. So they just I think more or less like copy and paste what is on the almost everything. So you can leverage on that, or leverage on the known best practice, and also automate the process, and also get the right people also make sure that you have the right processes. Let's look at some of the use cases of financial service. In Nigeria, we have a lot of legacy infrastructure and with hybrid cloud migration. So yes, what do you do with the legacy infrastructure? You can't time their phase out, the one that need to be decommissioned, the one that need to put a kind of a compensatory control you build. But definitely there will be some form of decommission, and also there must be a transformational journey. How do you transform? You need to keep getting better. Also in Nigeria, you have a lot of untrusted network segmentation across partners because you integrate with different partners, the switch company, the fintechs. Some of these companies may not serve a very robust stuff, right? The implementation of device compliance check and SSO, that's very key. The real-time session risk scoring for fraud prevention is also very key. You need to make sure that you have a very good risk scoring. I could remember, so on time with that number, we prevented so many fraud in the environment because of the risk scoring that we did, and also it's an AI-driven fraud prevention system. Yeah, so let's look at and also if you need help, you can reach out to people that can maybe the consulting company, and also our sensors bits. We have a team of cybersecurity professionals, and we have both industry-wide experience, international experience, not just local experience, and also we were fortunate to be one of the people that sets some of the standard, like the data privacies. Like I'm part of the moderator for the Certified Data Privacy Security Engineer organized by ISACA, and also sit with different consult for different big consulting company, and also doing some research on different latest technology like quantum cryptography, like AI, cybersecurity and AI, and all of that. So, and we also have experience in implementing different technology like IAM, CASB, next generation firewall, next generation SIEM, multi-factor, and also we also governance driven and compliance aware roadmap. So we understand the governance. Governance is like our bread and butter. So then we are also the technical stuff of things like a bread and butter. If you want us to help you to automate your process, automate what you do, and we can help you. And we currently we are based in Nigeria and also in the United States, and we have quite a number of organizations that partner with us, both here in the United States and also in Nigeria, right? So what are the recommendations for different stakeholders? You don't need to be overwhelmed. You need to start with your critical assets. Definitely, there are some assets that are very more critical. You need to you can start with your crown jewels. You need to ensure that you get your executives and board support. You need to also make sure that you embed zero trust policy into your DevSecOps pipeline. Integrate cybersecurity into your DevSecOps pipeline, zero trust. Use assurance reports for regulatory and business trust. These are what need to be done. So you need to be overwhelmed. Start with your most critical jewels. Get your board support, because at times you need to leverage on some technology, and also some of this technology you need to partner with some OEM, and it comes at a cost, right? So thank you. So let's connect. I'm very available on LinkedIn, and there's some of my stuff I do put out on my YouTube channel, and that's the link. You can grab the link also, or if you connect with me on LinkedIn, you can easily see you navigate to my YouTube channel, just click on cybersecurity tutorials. I have a couple of videos, both technical videos and non-technical videos for people that want to start with compliance and people that want to start their career in cybersecurity. So thanks for listening. I think I will leave for the moderator. So if there's any questions, let's take it up from there. Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Zechariah Akimpelu. That was a very insightful presentation. In spite of the few glitches we had with the network connectivity, nonetheless, I want to say a big thank you to you, and also to our attendees for your subscription, for your patience throughout the course of the presentation. You can all agree with me that zero trust is non-negotiable when it comes to assuring security of the digital ecosystem in the 21st century. It's not an afterthought. It's something that must be designed with the system or the digital ecosystem entirely. Our speaker made mention of a number of very vital points, and I do hope that it will also avail us with the presentation slide so that we can share it with the attendees subsequently, because we always like to share the presentation slides with our attendees as part of the take-home. I'm sure that will be provided. A number of good points were made mention of during the presentation, and I want to say it has been a real high opener to every one of us. I will just ask one or two questions where I will hand over to, I will seek the, I will ask one or two questions. Then I will hand over to the attendees. Whoever that wants to ask one or two questions should please signify. One of the questions that I want to ask is this. The first one has to do with the single sign-on implementation. We all know the usability of the single sign-on implementation within the digital ecosystem, and also it enhances security to some extent, and at the same time it reduces the burdens on the administration of users setup or implementations as it's applicable. My question is this: in the context of the zero trust architecture, is single sign-on implementation, is it beneficiary or not? Looking at the concept of the zero trust model, that's the first one. Because to me, if single sign-on is implemented, more or less like you have one master key to all the doors in some ways. Some people may not say it is entirely like that, but that's what I can also explain it to be. Then the second question, you made mention of the downgradable or downgrade attack. That's quite scary, because within the information security field, the emphasis has always been one should be up to date in terms of the patch management, in terms of the use of technology, and in the case of the communication protocols, one should also be up to date, not using outdated or maybe vulnerable communication protocols. So how can one effectively handle the cases of downgrade attacks? So those are the two questions. I hope my questions are clear enough.
Yes. All right. Thank you for the question. Let me start with the first question. So the first question is whether SSO will help us with the zero trust, because your point is that if we have single sign-on, that's single point of failure if the authentication fails. So before you do the single sign-on, you must be very, the mistake that people make. People always talk about single sign-on, but they not know some things that need to be done. Like I also mentioned that today, identity and access management is now becoming a very big deal. That they are even looking for a very senior person that would manage that in the various. We have people. I also told you about somebody that was just doing PAM and was a director as a PAM. Do you think that the guy will just be doing only maybe provisioning somebody access using a single sign-on method? Before you do the single sign-on, you must get your the profiling. You need to map the different users. You need to have your user matrix based on job functions. And even it's possible that somebody, you can be on the same team and you have different roles. And your setup must be, what you can access must be based on your role. Maybe a group of 2 people might be doing the same thing. You can have a team of 10 people, not just that everybody, like what we do a lot of bunch of lazy work. Maybe you have 10 people in network security, you give everybody all access. So that's bullshit. So on the AD level or on your directory service, you need to create different security group, not just creating OU. People are so fun or just creating OU, put everybody on the same OU. It's very wrong. Create different security group. After that security group, you now map it to different OU group. So that let's presume that somebody is, let's say somebody is just like a Fortinet specialist, maybe network specialist. And somebody is a Cisco specialist or NAC specialist. Somebody is a firewall specialist. Somebody is NAC. Maybe you have 2 to 3 people that are NAC specialists. For the fact that they are all doing network security engineering, yes, definitely they can be on the same OU, but they should be on different security group. So if you get it granular at the AD, at the directory service level, by the time you implement single sign-on, it will be so easier for you to achieve zero trust. If I thought maybe I'm a Fortinet specialist today, I decided maybe I'm bored. I did that for 2 years. I want to see what is happening in the NAC. I want to be a NAC specialist. Then they can easily, if you be very good at the data management tool with the IAM, but if you don't get the basic right, the profiling, user matrix right, you're deceiving yourself, right? So you need to, so by the time you are moving the role, maybe you are changing the person role, automatically the system will decommission the previous role and assign the new role based on its different job function. There needs to be a lot of groundwork, a lot of architecture before you start provisioning the system, before you start provisioning the user, before you even trying, because today people are so, I don't know, maybe sluggish or so they want to, in IT want to do things fast. They don't want to go through the, they would rather create, okay, this person, okay, you can't access this, but your colleague, you just, okay, let me just slime the right of this guy. And but by the time you implement single sign-on, if that person account is compromised, it will be easier for even attacker to conduct like kind of that. What we call we all talk about the privilege escalation. There's also we have the two types of privilege escalation. We have horizontal privilege escalation. We have the vertical, but people always think about the vertical, but horizontal privilege escalation, somebody can, and they are doing almost the same thing. They can compromise each other because the vertical privilege is not well defined, right? So so depend on the way you implement it. Single sign-on, if it's well implemented, can help you with us to implement zero trust. But if it's not well implemented, you complicate the matter, right? So, and in most cases, that's always the case. it's not implementation strategy is wrong. Then the second question, what's the second question again?
Second question has to do with the matter of downgrade attack.
Okay.
How can that be effectively managed to mitigate the negative impacts of such?
Okay, yeah. So for the downgrade attack, so that's why it's always good as cybersecurity professionals to always because if you are not aware of a particular vulnerabilities, you'll be thinking that because you've implemented TLS 1.3, you are good and all of that. So that's why it's always good to, so for you to prevent downgrade attack, especially at the TLS level, just implement secure transport layer security. They call it HSTS, enforce it at the header level. So those are the kind of things you need to look out for. Maybe if you're an application security engineer, make sure that that a bunch of stuff that you also need to look at the header level, something like CSP, content security policy, HSTS. Then you also need to look at the same origin policy, whether it is well enforced. All this enforcement can be done at the. It's very easy to enforce, but if it's not enforced, it can be very dangerous if it's not enforced. So, but if you're not aware, you would not know how to. You can only recommend remediation for what you're aware of. First of all, you need to identify the problem statement. If you don't identify the problem, you'll not be able to solve the problem right. So that's why we need to give ourselves to continuous research, not just we should not just form the background that okay, I've paid my dues. I've been doing cybersecurity for 10 years, for 15 years. I don't need to read anything again. Let the boys be doing that. So that's a lazy act. I say for you to be relevant in technology, you need to keep learning. Keep learning. Unless you are tired of the technology, maybe you want to go and set up maybe a non-technology business and be moving on with your life. But it's always good not to because the bad guys, come to think of it, they do research every day. All this technology that we mentioned of, they are doing research on how to bypass, how to evade the attack, and also beyond that, you also need to also have a red team in operators. People for every technology that you deployed, let your red team operators see whether that technology can be evaded. Let them think for different possible ways of evading the technology. So it's a combination of knowing what needs to be done, due diligence, and due care. So some people don't know what needs to be done. So you need to, as a cybersecurity professional, you need to do due diligence and be due care as well, right?
All right, thank you very much. I don't know if we have others on the platform who have one or two questions for our speaker. Please, you can signify. All right, Olanriwaji, you can go on and ask your question, please.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Dipo. My CISO, my mentor, my father, my instructor, boss, it's good having you once again on the call. Honestly,
yeah, thank you.
You've covered virtually every aspect of the zero trust, and I'm so glad you brought this up. But I just want to bring in this, CISO, and you agree with me. This has been a recent trend within the cybersecurity hemisphere, particularly as it relates with financial institutions, where we constantly have repeated cases where these bad guys just breaking into mobile app, by way of emulators and all these backend APIs, and a lot is left untold, because as soon as the thing happens and we swing into investigations and incidents containing, you now begin to uncover a lot of things, particularly from the developer side, and also prevention, one or two things that have not been known. And these guys have constantly exploit these avenues. Like the few two ones my organization encountered, was this guy, this mapping a device with a user on the mobile app. And as soon as they were able to decrypt it, you just see that from a single device, these guys can begin to map customers and begin to defraud customers of their money. You know, when we're able to simulate that, because we went through a rigorous process to be able to, you know, put that behind, when we discover some of the emulators they use and some of the antics this guy used, before you know it again, they just used another opportunity on the app, which was also via standing instructions, you know. So, and that again lets a lot of money. So, this is my question now, looking at this now, from this zero trust architecture and pipeline that we are beginning to look at, most of these APIs that we plug in and most of these services that is being rendered by third party, what kind of, you know, parameters are you thinking from now, particularly looking as regards within the DevSecOps that you have said, that third parties too should now become, you know, part of the risk sharing formula? Because if we don't instill this, you will agree with me that organizations will keep losing money, and third parties that we are connected to via their APIs or they have developed one solution or other will just be sympathizing with us, and the multiplier effect comes on staff and even on the information security team. Because most of these things, when they occur and we go back to them, it's either they say it's from back end, you know, like most of those where they don't restrict device identifiers to following, like maybe the UUDI, the IMEI, and all that, and even ensuring that some of these obfuscation of code, you know, to prevent bypass and not be done. So, what within this zero trust architecture and pipeline, sir, what's your own take that even before plugging into most of these APIs and APPs connection, what do we put on the table, you know, that is going to look as 50-50? And will this also help? Because I'm beginning to think in that direction, and probably will begin to even advise our regulators. Because if we don't do that, sir, you agree with me that the landscape will continue to expand. And also, sir, insider activity. Of course, if you recall, just recently, four Wema Bank staff, 4. So within this zero trust that you are still speaking, sir, I just wanted to further shed light on what stand should organizations, enterprises take so as to minimize this, even to certain extent, because we cannot totally ameliorate it, sir. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you, Larry, for that question. So so for us to, as an organization, what you can do, and I think I started that we need to map, first and foremost, you need to get your architecture right, because it's more of a concept. Zero trust, more of an architectural concept. It's more or less that you want to build a skyscraper. I don't want to be serious with the foundation, right? You know, if you're, or maybe you are just doing you have the intention, okay, you want to do 2-story building. By the time you get to 2-story building, I say, okay, we can make more money. Let's do 24-story. Well, let's do 35-story. Like what is happening in Nigeria and so on. So it's only Lagos that you be seeing different skyscraper building just collapsing. People just want to make money. They don't those. If you get the foundational wrong, you'll be like a headless chicken, right? So you need to get the foundational right, because it's more of architectural thing. For more like you want to build a house, you need to plan it first. Planning. You need to before you start the development. So most of the mistake that we make in this security is always seen as an afterthought. That's why you develop maybe a third party develop an application for you, and there was an attack. They will tell you that no, it's not their fault. It's for the backend. Who designed the backend? Who designed the what you want to do? They don't say they don't have a visibility of the backend. They only, as soon as they deploy, the hands off the what all of that. So what if we integrate security to every stages of our DevOps pipeline, and we mention of integration of zero trust, have the zero trust in mind, integrate into your DevOps pipeline before you start the development. Start thinking about, okay, how do we achieve? Don't trust any entity, don't trust any connection. At times I've seen an application whereby I've had a case that there was an error on a particular application, and there was a breach, and the application was shut down, thinking that the exposure will stop. The exposure continue. It's like somebody's carrying out magic on the organization. Exploitation, the application, they remove all the cable, not knowing that there's another rogue application that have been set up that's having a connection. So assuming that they verify every connection, I told you about a continuous authorization. Continuous, so later they now discover that particularly there's another rogue services, and the rogue service is pointing to the same main databases, and so the zero trust should not be seen as an afterthought, just like the way security should not be seen as an afterthought. So that's what the issue we have most of the time. So it's high time that we need to start re-architecturing. If you inherit a legacy system, you need to start thinking of, okay, how can we tear down? You need to rebuild rebuild the structure that because if the foundation is faulty, you'll be struggling. So that's the issue that most of us find ourselves by inheriting some legacy stuff, and also yeah. So I think we need to start thinking security right from the onset, thinking zero trust right from the onset, so that you can look for a way to guard against these surprises that happens. Yeah. Hope I've answered your question, right?
Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I don't know if we have any other person. Maybe I can entertain one more question before we draw the curtain for today's event. Any other question, please? Okay. I can't see anyone who is signifying to ask questions. Okay, in view of that, I will really appreciate our speaker for the day. Thank you so very much for honoring our invitation. Well appreciated. And we do hope that subsequently, when we have perhaps the second edition of Zero Trust and some other or any other germane aspect of the information security, we do hope that you will also accord us the honor of answering our invitation. And again, I want to thank everybody who has joined us on this event today. Thank you so much for coming through. And before I draw the curtain, again, I want to let you know about the organization, CyberGuard Lounge Limited. It's a thriving organization within the space of cybersecurity. We are engaging our various clients and also potential clients on a number of cybersecurity services, from cybersecurity risk management, governance risk compliance, security audits and assessment, incident response, digital forensics, as well as even ethical hacking or penetration testing. And we also offer a wide range of cybersecurity training. So if your organization or you as a person are interested in cybersecurity training, do well to get in touch with us. You can visit our website to get more information. That is www.cyberguardlounge.org. We also have our YouTube channel, or CyberGuard Lounge. If you search on your YouTube page, you can go directly to our channel where you can watch various events that we had previously. And to the best of my understanding, this event also is being streamed live on YouTube. So if you want to listen to it again, do well to go to our YouTube channel. You can watch it all over again. And we have a lot of other very valuable content on our YouTube channel where you can afford yourself the benefit of learning, relearning, and unlearning certain stuff within the information security space. Thank you very much. And we want to also encourage you. We're going to be having another event next month. We will communicate that very soon. We look forward to having you again on our platform. And the certificate of participation or attendance for this event will be sent through to you very soon. Thank you so much, and do have a very restful weekend. Bye-bye.